I'm Lazar. I work at 3D Makerstone, where I work as a 3D print specialist. I think it's a really well-built kit. It's got really high-quality components, and it's pretty easy to put together and understand how it's working. So I had a lot of fun making it. So this is the enclosure. As you can see, it lifts up to open up the printer. We're doing a pretty big sign for one of the streets around here. This is going to be the street sign. It's about 70 centimeters wide, which fits nicely on the build surface. It's currently equipped with a single extruder. The second extruder we want to put on a later stage, but we want to first experiment with how the single extruder works, make sure everything is working fine. So far so good. So in the next day or so, we're going to set up the second extruder. Yeah, we have a couple of printers you have to assemble yourself. This one has been definitely much easier packet to put together. So it's a very simple box construction. It's very sturdy, very easy to put together. The only thing is, because it's such a big printer, you do have to put a lot of screws together, but that's always going to be the case in this size. Yes, I would recommend this to anyone wanting to get into a more advanced 3D printing. Because when you put together a machine, you have a much greater understanding of how it works. When you buy a kit and put it together, you can go printing very quickly, but if something goes wrong, or if you want to maybe in the future modify the machine or do anything to it, you really need to understand why each component is put where it is. And a self-assembly kit is perfect for that. You know why every piece does what it does, you know where everything is, you know how it works, you know how to fix it if anything goes wrong. And sadly, even in this day and age, 3D printers just aren't perfect yet. So you do need to do repairs no matter what the printer is. I'd say the support is pretty good. I've been in contact with their support team a couple of times because there were a couple of things I wasn't sure about there, but they were really quick to respond to me, get back to me, and also fix it for future people. They have a really good online guide that takes you step by step through the entire process, and it seems to be getting updated and clarified on those couple of things that weren't quite sure for me. But now when I went through it a second time just to make sure everything was followed up on, everything was fixed, that I noted. If you compare to a regular size printer, like even an Ultimaker 5, it's a really reasonable price for this size of a printer, especially with the high quality components that are in it. I'm a really big fan of the high wind rails. Like, if you're going to put in linear rails, you need to put in good quality materials. If you're going to put in a linear rail, it needs to be a good quality linear rail and not a cheaper Chinese knockoff. You don't want to have any issues on those critical components. I'm also a really big fan of the E3D ecosystem. This is equipped with an E3D Volcano and an E3D Titan. Those are great extruders. There's a lot of information about those online. They're very reliable, they're very well known, and E3D makes good quality components. In an environment like this is a pretty big factory hall. Because there's a lot of draft, you need to have an enclosure around these kinds of machines, because otherwise you're going to have wind coming in, cooling down the parts, and causing issues. So for this environment, you absolutely need to have an enclosure, and this is a very well-fitting enclosure. There's very little gaps around the sides, the panels are nicely made, and everything fits together really snugly. So it is something you do have to watch out for during the assembly, that you do make sure that all your tolerances are set up, but if you do so, it's really nice to have it all come together like Legos. Let me tell you about all the extras that are on here. I'm really happy it has automatic bed leveling. For a print this size, it will be a nightmare to have to tweak it all and get it perfect every print. So I'm really happy that's on it. especially because you can have multiple profiles, and sometimes we only use half the bed, so we only heat up half the bed, which is also a nice feature. The filament runout sensor, another thing that needs to be standard on every printer these days, so it's also a very nice feature to have. Overall, I'm just really happy with the machine. It delivers the prints very nicely. It's a really high quality piece of kit, and assembling it was pretty easy, so overall, give it a pretty big thumbs up.